Right now, about 70% of the conversions showing up in your Google Ads account aren't real. Well, they're real, but Google didn't actually see them happen. They're modeled, estimated, educated guesses based on patterns. And if you're sitting there thinking, wait, what? Yeah, that's the reaction most people have. Here's the thing. The old way of tracking, cookies firing, pixels collecting everything, nice clean data flowing into your reports, that world is basically gone, and most marketers are still operating like it's 2019. I just got back from Google's New York office. That's me right there outside their building. And yes, I look cold because I was freezing. It was absolutely brutal that day, but I was also weirdly excited. So you're getting this strange mix of hypothermia and enthusiasm. I've been to Google probably dozens of times over 20 years in this industry. I've seen a lot of presentations, a lot of product launches, a lot of the next big thing. But this trip, this one felt different because everything I saw confirmed what I've been saying for a while now. There are tools and technologies sitting right in front of you that can fix this. That can get you cleaner data, better signals, more accurate measurement. And most people are completely sleeping on them. So today, I'm going to break down exactly what I took away from that Google trip. Not the NDA stuff, the things that are publicly available that you should already know about. The tools that are going to define measurement for the next few years. And honestly, it shouldn't take a trip to Google for you to pay attention to this. All this information is out there. You just haven't been looking. So let's fix that. I'm Jeff Sauer. I've been in digital marketing for over 20 years, sold an agency, built MeasureU to help people actually trust their data. And if you care about measurement at all, stick around because this stuff matters. So before I get into the specific tools and what you should actually be paying attention to, let's talk about why any of this matters in the first place. Because if you don't understand the problem, the solutions aren't going to make sense. Here's what's happening. For years, the way we tracked conversions was pretty straightforward. Somebody clicks your ad, a cookie gets dropped, they convert, the pixel fires, data shows up in your dashboard, clean, simple, done. That world is going away. Fast. Privacy changes, browser restrictions, iOS updates, cookie deprecation, all of it is chipping away at your ability to actually see what's happening with your campaigns. And Google knows this. That's why, like I mentioned, about 70% of the conversions in Google Ads right now are modeled. Google is basically saying we didn't observe this directly, but based on patterns and signals, we're pretty confident this conversion happened. Now here's the thing, that's not necessarily bad. Google's modeling is actually pretty good, but it means the quality of the signals you're sending Google matters way more than it used to. Garbage signals in, garbage models out. That's just how it works. The reality is, if you're still relying purely on client-side tracking, like basic pixels, standard Google Tag Manager setup, nothing server-side, you're leaving data on the table. You're giving Google less to work with, and your measurement is going to get worse, not better. And this isn't me being dramatic. This is just where things are headed. But, and this is the part that got me excited at Google, there are solutions. Real ones, and they're way more accessible than most people think. Now, if you're watching this right now thinking this sounds too technical or this is like rocket surgery, stick around because what I'm about to show you is genuinely easier than you'd expect. And by the way, if you're finding this valuable, take a second and hit subscribe. I make videos like this every week breaking down measurement stuff in a way that actually makes sense. No jargon, no fluff, just what you need to know. All right, let's get into the tools. Let's start with the tool I think most people watching this would actually do something about, Google Tag Gateway. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you've heard me talk about server-side tracking a lot, like a lot. Check out the cards if you want to go deep on full server-side GTM. We've got videos breaking all of that down. And I want to be clear, I'm still very positive on full server-side. It's powerful, it gives you maximum control over your data, but it's also not for everybody. It requires setting up a server, maintaining it, paying for hosting. It's a whole thing. For a lot of businesses, especially smaller ones, this is not a realistic thing to do right now. Google Tag Gateway is basically server-side light. And for most people, this is where you should start. Here's what it is in plain English. Normally, when somebody visits your website, you're tracking tags fire from their browser. Client side. That's how it's worked forever. The problem is, though, that browsers are blocking more and more of that stuff. Ad blockers, privacy settings, iOS restrictions, all of that gets in the way. Server-side tracking flips that. Instead of the tag firing from the visitor's browser, it fires from your server, which means way fewer things can block it. More data gets through, cleaner signals. Google Tag Gateway gives you a lot of those benefits without the complexity of full server-side GTM. You can set it up using Cloudflare, which has a free tier in about 15 minutes. I'm not exaggerating, 15 minutes. And Google's own data shows a median 11% signal uplift from using it. 11% more signal, free, 15 minutes. Now, I don't really care if you're a beginner or if you've been doing this for 20 years. That's a no-brainer. And here's what made this click for me at the Google event. I was talking to my good friend Charles Farina, and he runs analytics at AdSwerve, one of the top analytics agencies out there. And he told me that they're rolling out Google Tag Gateway across their enterprise clients, especially the ones who are on other platforms like Adobe Analytics or different analytics tools. And here's why that matters. Even if you're not living in the Google ecosystem, you still need to send conversion data to Google if you're running Google Ads. Everybody needs to send this data to Google. That's the whole point. So if a major analytics agency is prioritizing this for their biggest clients who aren't even fully on Google's stack, you should probably be paying attention too. And that's what matters here. Now let me give you the mental model for how to think about all this, because people get confused about what they should actually use. Picture a spectrum. On one end, you've got a standard client-side tracking, basic Google Tag Manager, pixels firing from the browser. That's where most people are right now. On the other end, you've got full server-side GTM, maximum control, maximum data quality, but also maximum complexity and cost. Google Tag Gateway sits right in the middle. It's not as powerful as full server-side GTM, but it's way more accessible. And for most businesses, it's more than enough to make a real difference. The reality is you don't have to go from zero to full server-side overnight. Tag Gateway is the bridge. It's the thing you can do this week that will actually improve your data. And if you're sitting there thinking, I should probably look into this, yeah, you should. I've been saying this for a while, and it's nice to have Google confirm it. All right, next up. And this one's a little bit more advanced, but I want you to at least know that it exists. Meridian. It's Google's open source marketing mixed model. Now, if you just heard marketing mixed model and your eyes glazed over a little, stay with me. I'm going to explain this in a way that actually makes sense. Here's the concept. Traditional attribution, the stuff you're used to seeing in Google Ads or GA4, is all about tracking individual user journeys. This person clicked this ad and then they converted. Connect the dots. Marketing mix modeling, or MMM, works completely differently. It zooms way out, and instead of tracking individuals, it looks at aggregate data over time. How much did you spend on each channel? What were your total sales? What external factors were happening? Seasonality, promotions, even the weather. Then it uses statistical modeling to figure out which channels are actually driving results. Here's the thing, MMM isn't new. Big brands have been using it for decades, but it's always been expensive and complicated. You needed data scientists, custom models, huge budgets. Meridian changes that. It's open source, meaning free, and Google just announced a new no-code scenario planner coming out this year. So you'll be able to play with MMM without having to write a single line of code. Now, is this for everybody? No, probably not. If you're a smaller business just trying to get clean conversion data into Google Ads, Tag Gateway is your priority. Don't overcomplicate it. But if you're at a company spending real money across multiple channels and you're trying to figure out the bigger picture of what's actually working, this is where things are headed. And here's a stat that caught my attention. Google and BCG research found that companies with mature measurement practices, which includes things like MMM, are more than twice as likely to exceed their revenue goals by 10% or more. Twice as likely. That's not nothing. The reality is MMM gives you a different lens. Attribution tells you what happened at the individual level. MMM tells you what's working at the strategic level, and the smartest marketers are using both. I'm not saying you need to go set up Meridian tomorrow, but I am saying you should know it exists. Because in a world where individual tracking is getting harder and harder, these aggregate approaches are going to become way more important. And Google is clearly betting on that. Okay, so we've talked about Google Tag Gateway. We've talked about Meridian and marketing mix modeling. But here's the thing that really clicked for me at Google. And it's maybe the most important takeaway from this whole video. No single measurement method is enough anymore. I know that's not what people want to hear. Everybody wants one tool that does everything. The magic dashboard, the single source of truth. That's not how this works. Not anymore. What Google kept on coming back to, and what the smartest measurement people that I know are all saying, is the idea of triangulation. 3 approaches working together. First, attribution. The stuff you're used to. Last click, data-driven attribution, whatever model you're using in Google Ads or GA4, it tells you what happened at the individual conversion level. Second, experiments. Incrementality testing, holdout tests, geo experiments, actually proving that your marketing caused a real result, not just correlated with it. Then third, you have marketing mix modeling, MMM, the aggregate view, what's working at the channel level over time. Attribution, experiments, MMM, that's triangulation. Each one has blind spots. Attribution can't see everything because of signal loss. Experiments are great, but they take time and resources. MMM gives you the big picture, but not the granular detail. When you use all three together, the blind spots start to fill in. You get a much clearer picture of what's actually driving results. And here's where this connects back to the data quality stuff that we talked about earlier. Google's own research shows that first-party data combined with AI-powered tools can drive 30% performance lift. That's a public number that they've shared. Enhanced conversions for leads, which is basically a way to send better first-party data back to Google, shows an 8% increase in conversions on average. These aren't magical new features. They're about sending Google cleaner, more complete signals so their models work better. That's what this is about. Better signals in, better results out, and using multiple methods to make sure you're actually seeing the full picture. Instead of looking for one tool to rule them all, triangulate. That is the framework. All right, quick pause here. If you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, Jeff, this is a lot. Where do I even start? I've got something for you. We built a free Clean Data Scorecard quiz. 10 questions, takes like 2 minutes, and it'll show you exactly where your measurement stack stands right now. Are you solid on the basics? Are there gaps that you didn't know about? Where should you actually focus your energy? This quiz will tell you. Drop a comment below with the word quiz and we'll send you the link. Or just go to MeasureU.com/quiz. Either way, it's free, it's fast, and it will give you a clear starting point. Okay, back to it. So we've covered tag gateway, Meridian, triangulation, and I want to address something I see all the time. Everybody wants a one-size-fits-all answer. Just tell me what tool to use, Jeff. Should I do Google Tag Gateway or full server side? Is Meridian worth it or not? And I get it, I really do. There's so much out there now and it feels overwhelming. You just want somebody to tell you what to do. But here's the thing, the answer is always, it depends. And I know that's annoying to hear, but it's true. The landscape has expanded like crazy. There are more options than ever before. And it's actually a good thing because these tools solve real problems. Google has made them more accessible than they've ever been. But choosing the right tool for your scenario, that's on you. Nobody else can make that decision. What's your budget? What's your technical capacity? What problem are you actually trying to solve? How much are you spending on ads? What platforms are you on? All that matters. Here's what I'd tell you. Figure out the problem that you need to solve first, then pick the tool that solves that problem. Don't start with the tool, start with the problem. And look, if you want help figuring that out, I do 15-minute calls where we can talk through your specific situation. I'll tell you exactly what I'd recommend based on where you're at. No fluff, just straight answers. You can book that time with me at MeasureU.com/15. The link's in the description. And honestly, it shouldn't take a trip to Google's office for you to realize any of this. All this information is publicly available. The documentation is out there. The case studies exist. The how-to guides are everywhere. You just have to actually look. That's the part that frustrates me a little. I've been talking about this stuff for a while. A lot of people have been talking about it. And there are still marketers out there who are completely asleep on it. So if you're watching this video, good. You're not asleep. You're paying attention. That already puts you ahead of most people. Now do something with it. All right, let's wrap this up. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. The measurement landscape is changing fast. Signal loss is real. It's getting worse. And if you're not doing anything about it, your data quality is going to suffer. That's just the reality. But this is the good news. The tools that fix it are more accessible than they've ever been before. Google Tag Gateway, you can set it up in 15 minutes using Cloudflare's free tier. 11% median signal uplift. If you're not using it, you're leaving data on the table. Meridian and marketing mix modeling, not for everybody right now, but it's there. The no-code scenario planner just dropped. Keep it on your radar. And triangulation, attribution, experiments, MMM working together, that's the framework. No single method is enough anymore. Instead of looking for just one tool to rule them all, triangulate. The biggest thing I took away from my trip to Google, none of this is hidden. None of this is secret. It's all out there. The documentation exists. The case studies exist. The tools are available. You just have to actually do something about it. So here's your homework. Pick one of the ideas from this video and go do it this week. Maybe it's setting up Google Tag Gateway. Maybe it's taking the Clean Data Scorecard quiz to see where you stand. Maybe it's booking a 15-minute call with me so you can figure out what makes sense in your situation. Whatever it is, do something. Don't just watch this and move on to the next video. All right, if you found this valuable, hit subscribe. I make videos like this every week. Measurement, analytics, Google Ads, all of it. No fluff, just what you need to know. And if you want to go deeper on server-side tracking specifically, I've got a video right here that breaks down the full setup. Check that one out next. I'll see you in the next one.